Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society. My name is Kelly Crocker, one of the ministers here, and today I am joined by my colleague, the Reverend Roger Birchhausen, Drew Collins, Linda Warren, Heather Thorpe, Daniel Carnes, Stephen Gregorius, and Lorna Aronson, who will lead us in our chalice lighting. The vision of First Unitarian Society is growing souls, connecting with one another, and embodying our UU values in our lives, our community, and our world. I would like to call your attention to the upcoming Groundwork workshop that is sponsored by our Racial Justice Ministry team. This will take place for two 90-minute segments, one on Saturday morning and one on Saturday afternoon on May 15th. The workshop is designed to help white people examine how racism impacts and harms lives. We will explore white privilege, white supremacy, and racism through small group work, discussion, and exercises. Information and registration is available on our website, fusmadison.org. We are so glad you are with us virtually this morning, and we hope you will join us in our virtual coffee hour immediately after the service. The information for joining coffee hour is also on the homepage of our website. And I invite you now to join in a moment of silence, to center yourselves and bring yourselves fully into this time as we join together once again in community.
Our opening words today come from David Breeden. Welcome to a new story, Welcome to a day unwritten. We gather to speak of possibility. We remember the losses. We celebrate the victories as a people of story. We embrace the possible over the probable, weaving the story of hope. Join us in the new story. Join us in the day unwritten. Join us in the future of possibility. I invite you now to light a chalice or a candle in your home as FUS member Lorna Aronson leads us in words of affirmation.
We light this chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have ever arrived in this community, for those who may yet find the spiritual home, and for those we can't even yet imagine. For each of us and for all of us, may this flame burn warm and bright.
Please rise in body and/or spirit to sing with me hymn number 1003, Where Do We Come From? First, we will sing it call and response style, where I sing each line and you sing it after me. After that, we'll sing it as a round, twice through, but without repeating any of the individual lines. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where are we going?
Our message for all ages today is based on a true story that took place in the 1800s off the coast of Maine on an island called Matinicus Island. It's the story of maybe a 12-year-old girl named Abby who lives on this island, and the only thing on the island is a lighthouse. Her father is the lighthouse keeper. The story is called Keep the Lights Burning, Abby, and it was written by two members of the congregation I served in Appleton, Peter and Connie Roop, and it's one of my favorite books. So one day, a beautiful day, Abby woke up to find out that her mother was ill. Her dad said to her, "I'm going to have to take the sailboat and go to town to get some medicine, and we need some food too." "But what if you can't get back because of a storm?" Abby asks her dad. "What would happen then to the lights?" Because you see, the lighthouse was not a kind of lighthouse like we have today where there's lights that you just turn on with a switch. This was before electricity, and so the lighthouse had these big lanterns that were lit with kerosene and a flame. "What will happen if you're not here, Papa?" "Well," he said, "if I can't get back, then you're going to have to go up and keep those lights burning, Abby. You know how to do it. I know you can do it." Well, her dad sailed off, and sure enough, a winter storm kicked in. She knew what she had to do, and she knew that her dad would not be able to come back that night. So up she climbed the big lighthouse. She struggled to get those lanterns lit. Finally, she did, and a ship that was off the coast near the rocks saw the light and steered clear of the rocks. She did it. She had to go up during the night several times to check on the lights, to clear the glass on the lights of snow and ice. But she did it. She kept those lights burning. But unfortunately, the storm kept raging. It raged and it raged and it raged for night after day after night after day. And she had to look after her mom and her siblings that were littler. And she had to keep those lights going all night. Somehow, she was able to do it. And finally, one day she woke up and it was finally just a little bit sunny. She thought, maybe this is the day that Papa will be able to come home. And sure enough, he was. Later that day, he came home with the medicine that was so badly needed, with the food that was so badly needed. And he said to her, "Abby, every night from the mainland, I looked out to see if the lights were burning. And they were. And I knew then that you were all okay. Abby, you kept the lights burning. Papa, I kept the lights burning."
I invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering which sustains and strengthens our community within and beyond First Unitarian Society. This week's offering will be shared with 350 Madison, the local action group of the international organization 350.org. Started by Madison area climate activists in January of 2012, 350 Madison plans and participates in local, national, and international actions to raise awareness about the pressing need to address climate change. You will see on your screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You will also see our text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
picture comes into mind when I say Buddhist monk? For me, the picture that comes immediately to mind is Thich Nhat Hanh, the kindly, compassionate 95-year-old Vietnamese monk and peace activist. I'm guessing that many of you maybe had a similar picture come to your mind. Here's another picture of a Buddhist monk. This is a monk from Sri Lanka, the island country off the southeast coast of India. He leads a group called Bodhu Bala Sena, Army of Buddhist Power. He is an ardent Buddhist nationalist who verbally attacks Muslims and Hindus and has been implicated in violence against Muslims. Buddhist nationalism in Sri Lanka has been shaped by a sacred scripture called the Mahavamsa that dates to the 6th century of the Common Era. This tells the story of a young Buddhist prince in Lanka who led an army against the invading Hindus from India. At the front of the army, he carried a spear which had a Buddha relic on its tip, 500 monks marching beside him into glorious, victorious battle. This powerful myth has been a key foundation of the brutal civil war between the mostly Buddhist Sinhalese and the mostly Hindu Tamils. The civil war raged from 1983 to 2009. The Army of Buddhist Power emerged a few years after the end of the Civil War, when the Sinhalese Buddhists won the war, and it's been attempting to preserve and consolidate Buddhist power, which it's been quite successful in. Thich Nhat Hanh tells a very different Buddhist story about a different prince, Siddhartha, who gave up worldly goods and power to share a message of peace and serenity and compassion. Stories matter. Stories have power. A story composed 1,500 years earlier helped propel a civil war in Sri Lanka. The Lost Cause story proclaimed by white supremacists around 1900 in our country helped propel Jim Crow segregation, and a century later, the January 6th insurrection. Trumpists are using a new lost cause story, the story of an election stolen, to propel a Trump comeback. Whether there is truth in a story does not matter. Stories can, of course, be used for good as well. I think of the story of Rosa Parks sitting on that seat in the bus, not going to be moved by the forces of segregation, a story that helped propel the civil rights movement. Stories shape, make, break, not just nations and movements, but also communities and individuals. Stories can motivate, instigate, immobilize, or even curse us. I picked the book Keep the Lights Burning, Abby, today for the message of all ages, because there's no doubt that that story that Abby lived as a child was a source of strength, a source that shaped her for the rest of her life. It matters what stories we tell. Today, through music, we're hearing part of the stories of Linda's and Heather's and Drew's mothers. Here's a story, a little of the story of my own mother. My mother's story began with a big mystery. She was adopted right after being born, and she never had any interest whatsoever as an adult in finding anything about her birth parents. The fact that she was adopted wasn't revealed to my siblings and I until each of us turned around 12 years old. There was this big revelation, and then it was clear that was not a topic for continued discussion. I really never talked again to my mother about that. January 1st of this year was the 10th anniversary of my mom's death. I kind of thought ahead of that once she died, I might do some genealogical research and find out about her birth parents, but I haven't and probably won't, and I don't think my siblings have either. There's a hole in my mom's story that is likely to always be there. My mom's adoptive family was not all sweetness and light. Reading between the lines, it seems likely to me that her adoptive mother had an untreated mental illness. My mom had a warmer relationship with her adoptive father, but I'm sure he had his hands full as a newspaper cartoonist during the Depression, trying to keep his family together economically and emotionally. She had no siblings other than some imaginary ones called the Dims, who she blamed when she got in trouble. She had a grandmother who lived with her family and showered her with love. Grandma Fulton is one of the heroes of this story. Overall, I have the sense that my mom had a rather rough start to her life. I think she probably learned a lot of skills in that difficulty that served her well in life: perseverance, independence, a fierce loyalty to family. I'd say other skills that she needed to survive as a child maybe didn't serve her as well as an adult, and in herself that she didn't easily share a stiff upper lip. Unlike my mom, my own story had a very clear beginning, a remembered beginning. I was born on the third Sunday of Advent in December of 1962, around 6 a.m. My dad's brother-in-law was the first person to greet me as I came out of my mother's body. He was my mother's OB-GYN. My dad was at the hospital when I was born, but not in the room, like was common in that day. He saw me through a window in the nursery and then went off to church, where he played the organ at a children's chapel service at 11 o'clock that morning. I had jaundice, so I stayed in the hospital for 8 days. My mom stayed most or all of that time. I have the sense that with 5 kids now, she was glad to have a little bit of respite in the hospital. To be honest, my parents gave me even more information about my beginning that I really wanted when they told me one time that they went on a cruise about 9 months before I was born. How different all this is from my mom not knowing much of anything about her beginning. The hole in her story is a major part of her story, even if she wouldn't talk about it. Well, a congregation is a place for stories. One of the things I love about congregational ministry is hearing people's stories. The power of people's stories was palpable when I returned to the Fox Valley UU Fellowship in Appleton, which I served for 25 years, after an absence of about 4.5 years. My successor invited me back to be part of a celebration of my being named emeritus minister. The receiving line after a Saturday night reception and the 2 Sunday services felt endless. People mostly moved along in the line, but they very quickly updated me on their stories. They knew I wasn't their minister anymore. I didn't have the feeling that many of them wanted pastoral care from me. They just wanted to share the next chapters of their story with someone who had been part of their story or had heard their story for a chunk of years. It was pretty amazing to hear hundreds of next chapters in such stories during that receiving line. Linda, Heather, Drew, and I share stories about our mothers today as an invitation to you to contemplate your mothers, and if you are a mother, to think about yourself as mother. We acknowledge that many of the stories are complicated. Some, no doubt, have a lot of pain and heartache in them. We make space today for the stories of birth mothers and adoptive mothers, for foster mothers and chosen substitute mothers. We also make space for those who want or wanted to be mothers but could not. We make space for mothers who had miscarriages and stillborn babies. We honor all of these stories and so many more I have not named. All of these stories, even the ones we don't share with other people, make us who we are in this congregation of souls. So this is a good place to think about how your interpretation of your stories impacts your life. Are your stories helping you live a whole and healthy life? Are some of them in need of refreshing, reframing, or reinterpretation? That kind of reflection would help those Buddhist nationalists in Sri Lanka question the stories that have been guiding and motivating them. Here at First Unitarian Society in Madison, we are also part of a collective story that began in 1879, a story that stretches now beyond us, hopefully at least another 142 years. There are obvious milestones in this story. The founding, of course, and the bond of union that was adopted at the outset. The decision to leave the old building downtown and move to the west side to a new building designed by the world's most prominent and famous architect. The growth that began when Max Gabler was senior minister and took off when Michael Schuler was senior minister. The ambitious, beautiful atrium addition where we're filming this service today. These are just a few of the stories. There are so many stories, big and little, that make up what FUS is today. The last 3 years have been a sort of interlude chapter in the story of FUS. All stories have these critical moments of transition. They are liminal spaces full of possibility and also danger. And even though they are interludes, they are incredibly important chapters in the unfolding story of a congregation. That's why I feel called to interim ministry. This interlude chapter here at FUS has not been easy. You have done some difficult work together. You've done good work together. It feels like a lot's been accomplished this past year, but it's really important to say that these accomplishments are embedded in the work that you did during the first 2 years of the interim period. I know a lot of you were not happy about this transition period going an additional year. No doubt I'm biased, but I think it was the right move. I don't think that the kind of feeling and spirit and excitement about possibility that you had during candidating week and the parish meeting last week where you voted to call Reverend Kelly Weissman Asperth Jackson to join Reverend Kelly Crocker as co-senior minister, I don't think all of that would have been possible a year ago. I think it's really good that you waited a year. So friends, this long interlude chapter is winding down. You are poised for a next exciting, wondrous chapter, which is not to say it will be perfect or without some moments of challenge and even struggle. But you are ready. You are ready. I'll be here a few more months, but I feel moved this morning to share a good word from another really good story. Go, my friends, and fulfill your destiny. And may the force be with you.
The lilt of your flying
Today we join in gratitude to light candles for all those who serve in the role of mother in our lives. And we take a moment with these words from the Reverend Victoria Weinstein. We reflect in thanksgiving this day for all those whose lives have nurtured ours, the life-giving ones who heal with their presence, who listen in sympathy, who give wise advice and only when asked for it. We are grateful for all those who have mothered us, who have held us gently in times of sorrow, who celebrated with us our triumphs, no matter how small, who noticed when we changed and grew, who praised us for taking risks and took genuine pride in our success. Those who expressed genuine compassion when we did not succeed. On this day that honors mothers, let us honor all those magnificent ones who from somewhere in their being have freely and wholeheartedly given life and sustenance and vision to us. May we live our days in life-giving ways, being granted strength for birthing new possibilities, and a nurturing spirit that we may take attentive care of our world, our communities, and the precious beings entrusted to us by biology or by destiny or by friendship, fellowship, or fate. Give us all the heart of a mother today. Blessed be, and amen.
Please rise in body and or spirit to sing with us hymn number 1051, We Are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God.
We are mothers of courage and fathers of time.
We are daughters of loves and the sons of great visions.
We are sisters of mercy and brothers of love.
We are lovers of life and the builders of nations.
We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith.
We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and rulers of time. We are daughters of dusk and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We are seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
For our benediction today, we're going to circle back to the words from David Breeden that we used in the opening. Welcome to a new story. Welcome to a new day unwritten. We gather to speak of possibility. Join us in this new story. Join us in the day unwritten. Join us in the future of possibility. Today, in the coming days and weeks, months and years, may we together continue to build stories. May it be so, and go in peace.
You can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. And what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself, all alone. Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it begin to ease. I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. Better to shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will.